Hi there, Release Fire here. So I'm a man with a plan, and my plan this week was to be able to win more squads matches than ordinarily is the case, and I'll kind of show you the stats in a little bit. But essentially my plan is to have a 7-person squad because, you know, I'm clearly not winning enough with 4 people. I need 3 extra people, and the good news with Fortnite Chapter 2 Series 6 is you can hire NPCs, characters from around the map. You just need to find a clutch of them close together, and the good news is there's 4 of them pretty much in a straight line right at the south of the map. And the first is at APRES Ski, but I completely forgot about Power Chord when I first set out on this crazy 7-man squad mission. So for my first attempt I was planning to land at Flushed Factory to talk to Bandolette and hire her, but then noticed loads of other people flying in and figured that would make it too complicated. So I bugged out and headed over to SLURPY Swamp with a plan to get big chuggers at Shantytown. But at this stage I hadn't realised that wheels were better than walking, so schlepped all the way across to him. However, when I managed to get there, obviously you get some shield potion, so that gave me a little bit of power, and I was able to grab a shotty and some shield potion on the way. So 1 man in the bag. And next up was Gut Bomb at Burger, but I managed to get lost along the way. I hadn't got my bearings yet by this stage, so I managed to get all the way up to Holly Hedges, where I got into a tussle with these 3 dudes. However, me and my single pumpy shotty managed to take them out, and Big Chuggers did absolutely nothing. So I was starting to question the whole principle of what I was trying to achieve, but carried on nonetheless and made it to Burger eventually and got Gut Bomb on the squad. However, my plan was kind of going wrong. I was looking to get 7 people. I'd only managed to recruit 2, and the rest of my squad had already been eliminated, so I wasn't really on for the main event. But with the storm circle right on my doorstep, I decided to get into a taxi and hightail it. Got attacked by a raptor on the way, and Big Chuggers and Gut Bomb actually pitched up and helped, which made me think maybe there was something to this after all. I also made it into the final 10, which I figured was a good effort for my first attempt. Although one of the most annoying things about hiring NPCs is they randomly break things apart and don't give you any of the proceeds, which is incredibly annoying. I then made it through to the final circle, and there was just 5 players left, which meant me versus a full squad of 4. Things kind of went relatively well to begin with, and I was doing some pretty good bow damage, but as soon as they realized I was in the hedge, they just destroyed me and obviously managed to take me out. But I figured making it through to the final 2 on my first attempt at this was a pretty good effort. So I headed back out for a second match, and this time actually landed at Flushed Factory. However, when I got to Bandolette out back, it turned out there was some other people with a similar idea, and my shotty just enraged Bandolette, although it was definitely inadvertent friendly fire. And then to add insult to injury, when I did finally take out Bandolette, somebody else arrived and served up my ass on a napkin. So it's time to go back around again. And this time I landed right at the back of Flushed Factory and picked up Bandolette really easily, and then on the way to Big Chuggers, decided to stand in the waterfall of Slurpy to get my shield up, only for Bandolette to get into a scrap just around the corner. When I headed out and had a look what was going on, turns out a dude was shooting down at her from above, but in all fairness she was at least shooting back, so continued my idea that this could actually work, with the hired guns providing cover fire and also good distraction for anybody that tries to get into a bit of a scrap with you. With the concept continuing to feel like it's got some merit, I picked up Big Chuggers and also Gut Bomb, and then headed out to get a car, but then again got into a bit of a tussle and managed to finish it off really easily. However, the idea got a bit of a knock when I made it through to the final storm circle, hid in a bush and tried to take people out from afar. I still didn't have a 7-man squad, and the hired guns really aren't that great at shooting people, and then because I'd spent so much time picking them up, I didn't have enough good weaponry to be able to do some damage. And then when I tried to pick up some extra weaponry, just got shot to shreds, hid behind a rock for a little bit, and then eventually they just threw lots of fire on me. I tried to fight back with fire, As you know, fighting fire with fire never works, and got myself shot. By this stage, I knew there was more to the strategy than just getting the hired guns, but things didn't get much better in the next match. I managed to pick up Gut Bomb relatively easily, and on the way did pretty decent in a fight against some dudes. But what I was really aiming for is to meet back up with the squad once I had my mercenaries in tow. The problem is doing it all quickly enough to be able to get there with all the firefights that you have to fight on the way. And while I was doing a half decent job of making it through them, you still then had the storm circle to make it through as well. And then every firefight I got into took its toll until eventually somebody pegs you down. However, it's at this stage that you realize there's a hidden benefit to having hired guns, that they fight for you even when you're knocked down and will keep you in the game for long enough for your other teammates to be able to revive you, as is the case here. So somehow I managed to dodge a bullet there, but sadly it didn't last and the storm overcame me. But again, Crystal Jack came through and saved me and managed to give me a full med kit. So I managed to get myself back in the game, but the storm just kept on coming and I was always 2 steps behind. And even though I got into this beat up old truck and raced ahead of it, I got shot through the cab by some crazy-eyed mentalist, and that put an end to that game, so I was back on the hunt for the hired hands. However, I'd spent all the bars that I'd managed to save up for this crackpot idea like it was the last half an hour of Brewster's Millions, so I needed to start hitting up the tills and accepting all their little missions to give myself a ready supply of bars. However, this round I managed to get tagged before I even got close to meeting up with the rest of my team, and my hired guns couldn't do much to stop the dude either, but I was starting to get the foundations of what could be a workable plan to be able to get bars on a regular basis. And then as soon as I got a new recruit, get straight into a car to make it over to the next one, picking up some half decent loot on the way. So with the 3 hired guns and my team still in action, I spent a little bit of time hiding behind a tree and shooting down some people that got in my way. But sadly, by the time I actually made it close to the rest of the team, there was only 1 left. I put up a half decent fight and took out 1 of the remaining 10 people, and then got shot in the back trying to hide behind bandolets, which is probably not my finest moment. In the next round, I got in trouble straight away and got shot through a window, which is definitely one of the low points of this whole 7-person squad process, and then took out all of my rage in the next round on this person lurking around the swamps, and then soon followed it up by shooting this person crawling along the floor. Hey, they deserved it. Anyway, I managed to make it to my team with a full 3-person hired squad, taking me to the 7 needed. If that isn't good enough, I also managed to find a large potion, taking me to nearly full shield, and my team looked like they were going to do a half decent job, as you can see with this guy who got run over and then shot on the ground, followed by this person who was repeatedly shot in the bottom cheek and gave me the Spire jumping boots, which were a lot of fun. But all of the positive signals came for nothing and I got shot to shreds in the end, placed second, and was back around for another crack at the whip. And this is when I remembered that Power Chord was based in APRES Ski, and she also gives you a really easy quest to just emote on the dance floor to get a cool 120 bars, which made it very easy to keep in bars throughout every game. I continued with the whole driving around, whether it was a truck or a car, and then anytime I saw somebody, jump on out, hope my guys distract them, and get in enough shots to finish them off. It seemed to be working pretty well, although it took a while with this guy who clearly had a half decent shield. His friend showed up and I managed to do a similar job there, with him being completely confused by the sheer amount of people I had in my team. However, a really badly timed shotty reload meant I got munched and was back around in the swamp trying to fill my squad to the full 7. However, I could already see that one of my team had fallen, so clearly luck and speed were definitely going to be a big part of this, but I had neither in this round and managed to only place 6th. Things started out with a lot of scraps in the next round, including this weird one as I was recruiting big chuggers, some dude randomly firing at me from outside. I couldn't decide whether it was a bot or just a crazy person, but I managed to take them out with my shotty, jump in the car and carry on with the mission. I kind of knew that the 7-person squad wasn't on in this because I only had myself and some other person in the main squad, but I kind of wanted to keep going just because practice definitely helps out and I was getting some good fights. The hired guns did a pretty good job of distraction, which allowed me to march on in and destroy everybody while they're busy trying to shoot my other guys. However, I think they took one of them out, so that only left me with 2 mercenaries and my 1 other teammate. When I finally caught up with them, one of the first things they did is get into a fight with one of the Guardians, but we managed to take them out and find some decent high ground, which was the Guardian Spire, which we had to ourselves, and as it turns out, this was the magic key ingredient that I needed. Not only did it give me a good amount of loot, filling up my shield to 50%, but it also provided the perfect place to fire down on people while the rest of the team did their damage down below, and I picked up my first victory royale. It may not have been the 7-person squad, but it was definitely helped by all of the additional mercenaries I'd hired along the way. When you take into account the fact that I'd only ever won 10 squad wins in like 400, because I don't really focus on wins, I focus on XP grinding and solving problems for you guys, it was definitely progress. However, things didn't start so well in the next round, as things got pretty weird at Burburger. I managed to take out everybody that was attacking me, but I missed some guy crawling down the stairs. Here, you can just see him crawling and hiding down the stairs while I went and hired Gut Bomb. When I went back, I could see the dude getting revived by his teammates, but I didn't realize I only had 2 shotgun shells left in the stock, so I didn't do too well in the scrap, and they closed the door and ran away, hid behind a wooden panel and started to hightail it. Luckily, I managed to get in some half-decent shots in the end to finish them off, and thought I'd finished everything off, but as I jumped in a car to run away, the last teammate in that squad jumped in and fired down on me to finish me off in one of the weirdest losses I've ever experienced. But then things got even weirder in the next round when I tried to recruit Bandolette. She randomly got hit by Powercord's pickaxe and started to fight us, and then eventually only managing to place 7th, having taken her out. Things continued to seem a little bit weird in the next round, with this rando just jumping up and down in Slurpy Swamp, who I managed to take out, and I kind of figured it was going to be another weird one, but as it turned out, everything went perfectly. I completed all the hires and got in a car really quick to catch up with the rest of my teammates, hit up some really nice bow shots to take a fair few people out from a distance, with everybody else teaming up. I had loads and loads of loot as a result and managed to upgrade all of my weapons, although the one blip on the scorecard is that one of my teammates managed to set me on fire while I was doing some crafting. But the concept of getting high ground continued as I got into the final storm circle. We all stormed this building, set up some half-decent protection, and then used the high ground to shoot down on people. I managed to pick up a legendary rocket launcher, which I used to shake people out of this area, and then it was simply a case of everybody firing in on them to finish them off and pick up my second win in like 3 matches for that final 3, as soon as I'd got that process perfected of picking up the hired guns, getting in a car, racing over to your team, looting up, and then getting into some high ground to finish everybody off. I definitely recommend that as a process. It works really well for me. Let me know in the comments below how you get on. If you like the video, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe with the link on the left hand side, and you can check out more of my series on Fortnite with the links on the right hand side.